of Education of Warren Township High School District 121 for Tuesday, July 29th, 2025. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Carlson.
Here.
Fields.
Here.
Pope.
Here.
Martinez.
Here.
Squires.
Here.
DeMonte.
Here. Okay, we're going to rise for the pledge. Where is the flag tonight? On the TV. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, next is the approval of the agenda for the board members. Are there any changes or items that need to be pulled from the consent agenda as we continue to put more and more into that? So now's your opportunity to pull it out if you want discussion on any of those items. Okay, I'm not seeing anyone, so thank you. So what we're going to do is I'll make the motion, let's see, to approve the agenda. So I move to approve the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Who said second?
Steve said second.
I seconded, I'm sorry.
DeMonte first, Steve second. Any discussion? I don't think so, because we would have pulled something out probably for that. So now let's move on to public comment. This is an opportunity for the community members to address the board. If there are any in the audience that would like to speak at this time, please come forward to the podium. All right, I am not seeing any, so therefore there's no public comment nor board discussion of visitor comment items. Moving on to committee reports. For our committee reports, there was some information included in our packet. The administration, Dr. Danny, really doesn't have any comments unless there's questions from the board in regards to any of those items. We do, however, need to talk about at least at minimum the Shared Services Committee and who would like to represent us on that. You saw the history. That's a new committee. I don't know if it was me or somebody else that recommended it, but it's a good idea as resources become fewer and fewer, and we work closer and closer with our other school districts here. We might be able to get flexible and creative and in working with one another, whether that's recruiting, whether it's sharing something. There's a variety of different ways that we could probably work together, even making positions whole. Like if we had a 0.5 and someone else had a 0.5, whether that's, and I'm just spitballing here, but it could be physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech services, just related services that maybe like we're contracting out for, but maybe with others we could even offer a more competitive salary, let's say. So anyway, there's a variety of different ways. So out of the 6 of us here, is there anyone interested in joining this committee?
I'd be happy to.
Beth would be happy to. I think we're looking for 2. No, I think we're looking for 2.
I'm already in a shared service model for my own.
Yes, you have a unique perspective that I think would be really insightful in explaining how you guys are doing it at work. So that would be great. All right, the rest of the board members, if there are others that want to join, you're welcome to join. We would just have to, I think, post it as a board meeting so it doesn't stop us from doing it, but 2, I believe, is the ideal number that we were looking for. And then if we need to, we can add an agenda item, talk about what we'd like our 2 reps to maybe bring as ideas as well.
Could I just suggest that if,
Yeah.
for some reason, one of you isn't able to make it, that you let us know so that we have 2 people there, right?
Yeah. Okay, I don't think is there any other discussion for committee reports after you had read it? Anything anyone wants to bring up?
We'll send out an email then and just garner interest from board members on the other superintendent committees. I think people have been involved with that pretty consistently, and that's good. It's good to have board members as part of those committees.
And then moving on to superintendent's reports. We also here don't have any comments from the administration unless we had questions on that. There was, and there may be, I can't imagine the treasurer's report, we see that every month, but maybe there, but connection to the community, with the community, or the teacher evaluation system, if there was any comments or discussion on those, or any of the three items from anyone. Okay, seeing heads down or shaking no, so I appreciate that. And now, moving on to the consent agenda. And we didn't pull anything, so I'll go ahead and make this motion to approve the consent agenda items, which include bills dated July 29th, 2025 in the amount of $2,030,806.73, personnel recommendations, and minutes of the special board meeting July 15th, 2025. So I made the motion. Is there a second? Okay, is there any discussion on those? Nope. Roll call vote, please.
Fields,
Yes.
Squires,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Pope,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Demonte.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. And now we're moving on to discussion items, of which we have two. So the first one, the administration does have some comments on. So I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Weisman.
I appreciate that. So we have been trying and spoken a few times at board meetings about memorializing and improving the relationship we have with the WTHS Foundation. It was something that I think Ms. Martinez brought up a couple years ago. And Ms. Martinez and Mr. Carlson, I know at least maybe some others have as well, been to a few of these board meetings, met with me with the foundation president over the last couple of years in addition, and I think that's improving. The foundation president and I met with the Regional Office of Education Foundation a couple weeks ago. They have a kind of a starter foundation packet that they recommend foundations look at if they're starting up fresh or maybe restarting after some time of inactivity. And the recommendation from that foundation president was to look at a sample MOU that they have that just memorializes the relationship, provides some general expectations about how Warren staff would interact with the foundation, also set some boundaries between the foundation and the school district. So what you have for discussion today is really just the boilerplate. We didn't change anything about it. So we'll go in and look at that. If generally the idea seems like something that we would be interested in as a school district, I do think it's a good step. I think the foundation has some good steps forward and some concrete plans. So yeah, those are just my thoughts. And if you have any, I'd be happy to hear them.
The source of this, where did they get it from, or where did you get it from?
The Regional Office of Education Foundation worked with an Illinois school attorney to put this together and makes it available for all school districts in Lake County.
I read through it and it looks like a very good starting place, and I really appreciate that they provide a beginning point like this.
I like clean lines, so I think if we're really going to take this partnership to another level, I think starting out clear who's responsible for what and legally who's responsible for what, whether that's giving someone space, I saw in here, a room, or, yeah, I just think this is a good idea. Whatever it ends up being after our attorneys look at it and our administration and you, Danny, look at it, I think being clear. And as an aside, I met with Joel from the foundation recently for actually a couple hours, and I was very impressed with his dedication to the foundation, and he's a newly elected board member at Woodland, so I just love how all these pieces are coming together, and the more we talk, the more connections are made, the more we work together. I know this is purely about the foundation, but I think with his leadership and the vision that's taking place right now, we're going to see this thing, and Steve's been providing quite a bit of vision and connections. Like, we're going to just see this thing take off, and I love it. So,
I've been to almost all the meetings, and I'm very impressed with the, I mean, they were floundering for a long time.
Yes.
About 10 years, really. They
Yes.
didn't do much. And there's some new blood, and, you know, as an old guy, I appreciate new blood. But there's enthusiasm, and I'm very encouraged with some of the progress that's been made already.
One thing that I think the foundation really was energized by seeing some board members support and come when they can. If you know of people in the community that you think would be a good member of the foundation, they are looking for a few extra members to fill some specific roles in terms of, you know, people that are willing to spend some time reaching out to possible donors, people that are willing to help make decisions around scholarships and read through scholarship materials. So if you know of anybody in the community that maybe can't put in the time like a school board member would put in the time, but is willing to be on a foundation that meets maybe 6 or 7 times during the school year, that we would love as a foundation any names from the community for that.
any other comments on the MOU with the foundation? No? Sounds like I got the nod to continue. The other item is the special education audit update, where, again, our administration has some information that they'd like to share before we have a discussion.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of our leaders here from the special education department. I'll let them introduce themselves here in a moment. As you remember, about 1.5 years ago, we finished an audit, and it was an external audit. And although in my head it seems like a really long time ago, this really is the first full year that we've had since the audit was completed. So we appreciate these two individuals coming, and I think you have a clicker, and we'll give you the floor.
Thank you for the introduction. I am Tara Garland. I'm the Director of Special Education. I know many of you. Nice to meet you.
Special Supervisor Almond.
So as Danny just shared, as a quick reminder, about 1.5 years ago, FY24, we completed our special education needs assessment. There were 3 main findings that really guided our work for this past year and our future work. So we just gave you a brief reminder here. First thing was professional development for all staff. Second main focus was our case management model and realigning staff responsibilities. Third one was to focus on our least restrictive environment. Okay. So in the area of professional development, we spent quite a bit of time this past year. So I'm just going to go ahead and review the work that we specifically did in each one of those areas. So the first one was co-teaching. We continued our partnership with the Catalyst for Educational Change, and we started off our work specifically with our teacher and administrative leadership teams, where we identified and really dug deep into what we would consider to be like high quality instructional practices. And then we also developed a co-teaching expectations for all of our teams. Our current co-teaching teams that we had this year all received professional development on various stages of co-teaching, various models of co-teaching, as well as lesson design. So we did that in a 2-part series. The third thing that we did in terms of co-teaching is that we provided consultation and coaching for each one of those teams in partnership with our consultant from CEC, as well as with our instructional coaches. The final thing we did with co-teaching is that we drafted a sustainability plan, because there has been so much work that we have done this year. We wanted to figure out how are we going to keep this progress moving. Okay, the second area in professional development was our paraprofessional learning series. So we engaged in a partnership with True North, and we offered a 10-part learning series for all of our paraprofessionals. Predominantly, that was on like our Wednesday late starts, covered a variety of different topics, such as fostering independence, collaboration, prompting, relationship building, communication. It was very well received. The next 3 I'm going to kind of lump together. As part of our work last year was planning for this coming year. So we developed 3 special education subcommittees, one that focused on supporting our general education staff, one that focused on supporting our special education staff, and then the third one was case management. So a variety of different things yielded from all of those conversations. Excuse me. General education staff identified classroom and instructional strategies to support students with disabilities, supporting students with complex needs, and collaborating as a team as their top 3 things that they would like to learn more about. Where our special education staff identified enhancing partnerships between teachers and paraprofessionals, so more to come on that. And then progress monitoring, and then also working on building more student independence. And then our third piece that we focused on was that case management component, and what we ended up doing was surveying some neighboring districts, which we'll talk about here in a minute, okay? Final thing is that we continue to partner, both Yesenia and I participate on the in-service committee, so we continue to partner with our in-service committee to really help focus. This past year, main focus was on differentiation and responding flexibly to student need, which is very much aligned with special education services and supports, so we thought it was a great partnership. All right, next one. Brings us to this year. Okay, so we're going to expand our partnership with True North to include our certified staff. So we saw that that was an area of need, that our paraprofessionals were getting some pretty hefty training, and we needed to loop in our staff, our certified staff as well. So we have 2 to 3 sessions that is built in where they're going to be working on that partnership and that collaboration. We will also provide a weekly coach through True North specifically for our educational life skills program. They will be here on site weekly, working with our most complex students and helping our staff to just build those structures. Third thing is that we will enter into a year 2 partnership for paraprofessionals. So they will have a new 10-part learning series that they'll go through this year. So we're super excited about that. We currently have a partnership with neuro ed specialists. We're expanding that partnership to include, moving on to B, sorry. Let me back up here for a sec. We're going to be offering professional development, specifically on developing high-quality IEPs. That was something that was noted within our needs assessment. So we have one of their school psychs and one of their consultants coming in to specifically provide professional development to our school psychologists, our social workers, as well as our case managers. We will continue to coordinate professional development opportunities with the in-service committee. We continue to offer a wide breadth of local and national conferences within our department. But what we're really excited about is the training that we're going to give to our new co-teaching teams. We have 2 new co-teaching teams specifically at the Old Plain campus. So Yesenia and I have put together a plan to help to not only educate them and kind of catch them up on everything that we did this past year, but how to continue to support them. So we have some professional development specifically in the areas of co-teaching, expectations, continuum of practice, collaborative planning, specially designed instruction, classroom structure, models of co-teaching, and then for all of our teams, we'll be really focusing on accountability and support.
Could you say just so, thank you. You're covering so much. I really appreciate it. You can't tell, right? The sound comes from somewhere else. Would you say a little bit about the history of co-teaching in our district? Like, how long have we been doing that, and how, because I think it sounds like we're doing more of it.
2012? 2012 is when we started. I was going to say it was
Okay.
before my time here, and I've been here 10 years. So it has really expanded. And I did a quick pull of numbers just because I was curious in preparation for this. So hold on one second. For this past year, for the FY25, Old Plain planned and sectioned for 152 requests for co-teaching. This upcoming year, we're planning and sectioning for 205 requests. So when you really take a look at
What's
how
a
it
request?
expands.
Does that mean a student is
Yep.
asking to be in a?
Yeah, per the IEP. Per the IEP, we have
Oh.
services that need to be in place in terms of co-teaching. So if you just take a look at how many of our students, and we have a slide coming up later about our LRE and our placement determinations, and you can see that we are supporting more students in a more least restrictive environment from when we
Okay,
presented
so,
last year.
so for some students, the IEP calls for co-teaching
Yes.
classrooms so that they can be in a less restrictive environment. Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
yep. Other questions?
To clarify, is that the only way that a student is provided with co-teaching?
It is driven by the IEP
Okay.
process, yep.
Okay, just because we've talked to this point about a lot of education that has been provided, specifically you've mentioned paraprofessionals a lot, right? And I think that there seems to be, quite a bit of turnover naturally in that position. How do you guys manage turnover with all the amount of teaching or education and in-servicing and, I don't know, training? We call it in-servicing, you guys might call it something else. So how do you manage when you have turnover, you have someone new walking in? How are you guys catching people up to?
Fair question. I think the answer is two parts. If we hire somebody mid-year, both campuses have lead paraprofessionals as well as a special education lead teacher that will run point on that. That will do, and they'll be there as a help and a support from day one. This year, for the first time in my time here, is we're giving specific professional development to our new hires.
So you're onboarding them basically
Yes.
with, okay, that's what I was
Yep.
wondering if we were doing.
So new
Thank you
new
for
this year.
answering that.
Yep.
And so I have a question about the professional development. Is there an evaluation process? Okay, and so can you share a little bit about those findings or feedback from staff? How are they receiving the professional development that you're providing?
So specifically with our paraprofessionals, after every single in-service that we give, we receive, they're issued a survey by us as well as True North because they take their feedback very seriously, and everything has been wonderful. They are so appreciative. Any feedback that they have given us that for future topics or maybe a different mode of instruction, we've taken very seriously and made adjustments to the schedule and to the topics.
And that reminds me, that it sounds like the professional development has been both things that came from the audit as focus and things that have come from the staff, like things they want to learn about.
Yes, and the things that are coming for this upcoming year will be more of our certified staff.
Okay, all right,
Yep.
great.
About professional development?
Okay, so for the case management and role alignment, so the case management committee completed a SWOT analysis of our current model and identified strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities for growth. The strengths that were identified, the Oakland case managers participate in 8th grade meetings, the streamlining of administrative communication and data entry, increased consistency and accountability among case managers, accessibility to staff, students, and parents, and the ability to support the problem-solving process and student services team. So those were some strengths that we identified as a committee with our current model. Weaknesses, ability to build strong relationships with families due to the large numbers of their caseloads. Special education teachers aren't involved in the development of the IEP. The Oakland case managers support 3 grade levels because of the work it takes to welcome our incoming freshmen. And again, the high caseload numbers was an area of weakness. And then opportunities for growth were how to develop different relationships with students, progress monitoring student needs, and how to be flexible when new cases arise. So, like Kara said earlier, we surveyed our comparable districts and identified a lot of similarities. However, 3 things were noted. Most districts didn't have a full release for their case managers. Case managers taught at least 1 course, which was typically similar to our learning strategies class. And then most districts have an outplacement coordinator as well as an administrator or department chair to facilitate articulation process with feeder districts. As you guys may recall, these 3 points were also aligned with what our consulting firm had identified within our needs assessment. Our last area of focus was restructuring the case management model at Almond mid-year. So we began our planning process as early as January, February, and as student needs change, as well as having an influx of move-ins last year, at the start of the school year, we were fortunate enough to have the flexibility to reduce a teaching section to add a part-time case manager mid-year at the Almond campus, which lowered caseload numbers that resembled O'Plains numbers. In general, smaller caseloads allowed the case managers to meet with students more often and go into classrooms, as well as improved cross-campus collaboration.
Real quick, just a note on that. So all the board members know, when you say you reduced a class, we took an existing person, had them teaching less classes, and then for that extra class, that's where they received the case management duties. Am I summarizing that
Yes.
correctly?
Yep. Yep.
Just helping with terminology
Thank you.
sometimes.
So our areas of focus for the 25-26 school year include continuing to explore efficient methods to coordinate or articulate with our feeder districts, explore ways to balance off-campus case management. Currently, Kara and I case manage our students that are off campus, and then make recommendation for case management models and improve case manager and student relationships and increase the frequency of case manager and student contact. So that's our area of focus for the 25-26 school year.
Can I ask a couple of just basic questions to understand where it is now?
Yeah.
Like what does it look like right now, how we coordinate with the feeder districts?
Sorry, so actually, Sunny and I will start that process here next month. So we start working with all of my administrative colleagues in our feeder districts. We set forth dates. We just talk about the process as it existed in years past. We get feedback from them on anything that may need to change or anything that has worked well. As part of that process, we spend a lot of time, and I don't want to say professionally developing because that's not the right term, but really helping them to understand high school and some of the changes. Last year, there was a lot of new within our feeder districts, both administratively as well as within their teacher rank. So we spent a lot of time, our case managers and myself spent a lot of time just helping them to understand Warren and our service delivery so that they could better help to support our students and families. Our case managers will meet, essentially what we do is we designate days, usually in November, where our case managers at Eau Plaine will participate either on site or in virtual meetings with every single student and their family that's coming over. It's kind of a meet and greet, it's kind of a welcome. Talk to me a little bit about your student, and they start to make some course recommendations. And then that partnership and that collaboration continues from November through the end of the year for updates, questions, concerns, IEP meetings, changes. So it's a really large focus for our two case managers that are at the Eau Plaine campus. It's very time heavy, but it's like meaningful work. Like I mean, it's important work, but it does require quite a bit of their time.
Thank you. So that goes on from November until the student enrolls in the fall? Okay. That's a long time.
Oh, and then I should mention too, we do like a Welcome to Warren night in the spring that Yesenia and I host.
This
So we-
specifically for students
Specifically,
with
yeah.
IEPs? Okay.
Yep, it's Welcome to Warren through the lens of the IEP is how we phrase it. So we do it over at Eau Plaine, we do a tour. Every year, we have more and more participants, so it's super exciting.
Great. Increase the frequency of case manager and student contact. What is it roughly right now? Like what, when we talk about increase? Oh,
Quite honest
okay.
with you, I think it varies on student need, and because we have some students that need, weekly check-ins, we have students who need, daily check-ins, and,
Okay.
in some cases, we have other students who are like, yeah, I got it, I'll send you an email if I need anything. So I think we're just trying to build some consistency within them, so that all of our case managers know all of our students at the same level and really have a good understanding of their needs.
Can I ask about, sorry.
Paige has been trying to ask something. I can just see her in line of sight, so
That's okay.
I got you.
Thank you. So in your SWOT analysis, you did mention relationships with families being an opportunity for growth. And so my question is, as I don't see it as an area of focus, so are there plans to explore opportunities to increase that?
I can take that one.
Okay.
So this summer, I know specifically I met with a few parents who have some interest in creating like a parent support group, which I told them in many ways it would help us a lot if there were parents that were willing to take on that initiative. They'd be able to do it in a different way. And so we're trying to explore that route as one of the steps. I don't know if you guys have anything to add to that.
Something else that we have done too, just based on some of the different feedback from our case managers is
Yeah.
Last year, we already have 3 dates that are set forth for them.
So in thinking about, you know, that showing up as like an area of growth, what does that look like? I mean, I know like the case managers, the time is the conflict. Is that primarily what it is? Or do we know, like, is there a need for better communication or just opportunity? Just kind of okay.
And making sure that their caseload numbers are manageable.
Okay.
So that they can continue to have those conversations and have those.
Thank you.
I did have a question. This is my own question. I'm curious, how much of the contact between case managers and students is coming because it's part of the support plan versus, I know sometimes if I'm just chatting with a case manager in the hallway or the other office, like one of their students will just come and be like, hey, I want to talk, or how you do it. How much of that is paperwork initiated or plan initiated? How much of that is the students driving on their own what they feel like they need?
If I can give you an exact answer in
Just
terms
out of pocket, yeah, I guess.
Right? I mean,
I would say on this, at least at Almond, I think oftentimes it's student initiated, which is great, right? Because you want the student to initiate that interaction and have their needs met and feel comfortable enough to have a case manager to go to.
I also think sometimes too, it depends on the time of year.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think here, when I was here at Almonton, don't get me wrong, it's been a number of years, but coming end of the year, when we're trying to get that like
gosh,
final push.
push, yeah.
Right, for success and opportunities and kind of planning for the next year, I feel like your student and your case manager contact gets really intense and a lot more frequent. I think in the beginning of the year, you also see that as they're trying to kind of understand those pieces. I think there's a little bit of a middle of the year lull. So unless it's kind of, right, unless it's very specifically driven in an IEP. But I would agree with you, Yesenia, that I think a lot of our students will make that initiation, but I think particularly for the freshmen, we have to seek them out a lot.
Since we're talking about case managers, I just want to point out also when I came into the school district and as I've done job shadows, the case managers are always willing to say like, hey, come watch us, see what we do. They're really proud of the work that they do. And are happy to just talk about the good work that they do with the students. It's been cool.
I think our 4 main case managers are very happy in their role. They've been doing it for a
And what, do we have 2 at each campus?
We have 2 main case managers at each
Okay.
campus, and we also have some more programmatic case managers at each campus, which carry a smaller caseload.
What does that mean?
So we have 2 case managers that have a full release, meaning that they have no teaching responsibility, that their full role here is to case manage students. Then we have some other teachers who have a combination of roles where they have a
Okay.
a portion of their day is teaching, and then the other portion of their day is case management.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we are super excited about this. For those of you that were here last year, you might recall, you saw a diagram that looked like this. This is our least restrictive environment. So when we start to take a look, these numbers, they are all the top numbers, the 01, the 02, 03, and then you can kind of see the 04 and the 08. Those are categories of service that are outlined by the state of Illinois. So our goal is to always have more students on the general education side. We recognize that we will always have students in each one of the categories. We know that that will always be a need, but our goal is to move the students from the blue to the orange, to the yellow, and to the green. So this past year, this is all based on what we call our child count, and it is a moment in time. It is a day in which the state pulls our numbers. This is how we work everything. I'm sorry?
On the 6th day of enrollment.
So usually for the child count, they pull it in December. But yes, it is a moment in time. I know you guys understand that special education services and numbers, it moves, it fluctuates, we know that. But for data purposes, we use our child count numbers. So in comparison to last year, we have 7% more in the green, which we're really excited about. No change in the yellow, and I'll talk about that in a moment and our hypothesis as to why. But we saw a 4% decrease in the students who are receiving services outside the general education classroom, or rather inside the general education classroom, for less than 40%. And then we saw a 2% decrease in students who are educated offsite.
Could you tell me the total census of your, what is the total census of your population in that, like right now? How many students are you, sorry, I'm talking in healthcare, I'm sorry.
So for last year, for FY25, we were down, I want to say last year, we were at 450. Does that sound about right?
400, 450, 450?
Yeah, ish. Does that sound right for anybody else? who
Okay,
might be
thanks.
pulling
That gives
numbers
me
on
an
a
idea.
regular?
Close enough, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you say we were down?
Yeah, our special education enrollment was down
That
last year.
surprises me. I thought it was going up an incident or,
I think it was a little bit of an anomaly.
okay.
If I'm going to be honest with you, because we're right back up.
Need a new snapshot.
When we did this, I specifically ran the percentages, wanting to make sure that it just wasn't a decrease. But so when you take a look at the yellow, that is a really large span of services. So if you take a look at the yellow specifically, those are for students who are educated inside the general education classroom for 40 to 79%. So if we have a student, let's just say, for example, who are in all smaller group core classes, so English, math, science, and social studies, if at that IEP meeting we make a change to support a student in a co-taught environment, one class, they're still going to fall in the yellow, right? So if it's two classes, kind of depending on the related services, it might move them out of the yellow into a green, but more than likely two classes will still put them in a yellow.
So in terms of number of class periods of a day, what is 40 to 79%?
It's, again, sometimes it factors in with the related services, so like social work, speech and language, OT, things along those lines. About 4 classes, 4-ish classes within a special education learning environment
Okay.
can still fall within that yellow.
Not necessarily but
Co-taught we would consider to be
That's what
within
you're
the general
talking about,
education,
exactly.
and those
Okay.
would be in the green. So it really does depend on the individual student, but I think when we ran our numbers, we were super excited to see that. I mean, it's hard to get a student above the 80% mark. So we saw a 7% increase. So I'm really proud of our staff and our students and our families for that. Like we were super excited.
So a co-taught class is a general education class. They're receiving the services, but they're in a general education class, okay?
Yep.
And would you credit co-teaching with that change, that positive change in the green? That's generally what's happening. Kids are getting in
Yes,
co-taught classes.
and then once we no longer need that co-taught level of service and they're just in general education
Yeah.
with maybe some consult services or learning strategy. Our ultimate goal is to still wean the co-taught services when appropriate for the student.
Okay.
Our goal is not to have co-taught services from freshman year all the way through, sorry. So, but again, we were really proud of that, so.
Can I ask another question on this slide?
Sure.
So the move from yellow to green, a good chunk of that's going to continue to be co-teaching as students move into the green.
It certainly doesn't have to be, but more than likely,
Yeah.
yes.
The move from blue to orange
Yes.
is not co-teaching though, most likely.
Most likely not.
Okay.
Sometimes I will tell you, though, that we have students who matriculate back from our private therapeutic days that go into general education. So sometimes you're not matriculating back into special education at all. So it really does depend on the student. Yesenia and I are currently planning for, is it 7 students between the two campuses that are going to be starting with partial day. So that work we do on a very regular basis. So we have 7 students last year that received all of their instruction within a private therapeutic, and based on their progress and their goals, they'll be starting a transition back with us here next month, a couple weeks. So there's 7 students that fall into that category.
very encouraging.
Yeah, we're excited.
Okay.
Yeah, that's you.
So considerations when adding specialized programming. It will cause an increase in FTE, so teachers, paraprofessionals, related services, including the addition of a BCBA, nurse, and an assistive technology facilitator. There would be construction costs for supportive classrooms and staff training focused on specialized programming. If we were to add specialized programs, we would recommend expanding our transition program as well as a specialized program for our students who do not display unsafe behaviors. As Kara shared, again, we have 7 students who will be transitioning part-time, starting in a couple weeks.
Can you tell us what a BCBA is?
Yep, it's a behavioral specialist that works on that's their specialty, right, is supporting students who have significant behaviors. It's a special licensure that they carry, which would be beneficial just because, again, I think our student needs are growing in some areas and are becoming a little bit more significant. So it would be something that would be of value.
And it is a service that we're starting to see at our feeder districts as well. Given some future projections, we might need one. So, yep.
Well, that and the availability of outplacement, private therapeutic schools, CEDAL, both are becoming harder to get into, increasing their fees. Like, yeah, I mean, this is a logical topic for that.
So timeline. Last year when we met with you guys, we identified 5 things that were going to be our focus for the upcoming year. So we just wanted to give you a little bit of a update as to where we were at with everything. So for the first one, providing professional development for staff, that's ongoing. Like, that's not a check, we're done. We continue to do that. Finalizing the shared expectations for co-teacher. You can check that box. We did that. We're super excited about that work. We do plan to make a decision for our case management model here, hopefully fall of 2025, so forthcoming soon. We will continue to explore additional service delivery models once we have a decision about our case management model. And then, as Yesenia mentioned, with the specialized programming, like, that continues to be a very heavy lift for us. With our current staffing plan, our current administrative structure, that continues to involve, it'll involve a lot of really in-depth planning. We'll have to figure out exactly where we're going to house some of these programs and how we're going to help to support. So that's our longest term plan right now. We're hopeful that we'll have some decisions by 28, 29.
Earlier,
Yep.
I heard you say that we're working with True North for professional development, which isn't our special ed co-op. I know it's not. So here's the question you may or may not feel comfortable answering. Being our CEDAL rep, I have seen a lot of turmoil. I've mentioned it before at other board meetings. You may or may not have been at them. Not in great shape at the moment. Very frustrating. What made you reach out to a different co-op as opposed to connecting with the one we're a member of? Is it availability of the resources? Is it just what I said earlier? And although I think True North, my feelers tell me, I mean, I know a little bit of
Yep,
it.
we're still working through that, right?
Yeah, they're almost at the point where CEDAL is currently as well. But what made you reach out to True North as opposed to CEDAL?
So we have
Just
students,
curious.
no, it's a fair question. So we have students that attend some True North programming. So as
Okay.
part of that, they share out professional development offerings. They have a brochure of different offerings. I looked through it, and at the time when I started the partnership with True North, CEDAL was not offering any professional development. So last year, about a year and a half ago, when we first reached out to True North, it was based on the services that they had available and the content and their availability to actually
No, that's
fulfill
fair.
the
And
need.
obviously, you're free to
Yep.
connect with whoever meets our needs most and our students' needs most. But it'd be curious if it was they're not offering what we're in need of to provide that feedback to CEDAL, just saying, look, you're not, I mean, we're a member district and you're not, I don't know if we're getting our money's worth in yet another way, and things need to evolve or what have you. So, no, that's fair to say.
So CEDAL is working on providing more professional development to
Good.
their member districts.
Yeah.
It just hasn't been in
Yeah,
the areas
no.
that we were looking for
All
just
good
yet.
things.
So, more to come, hopefully.
Make a comment. I'm not educated enough to ask an intelligent question, so I'd like to make an observation. It's nice to see enthusiasm, dedication, pride.
We're very proud of our work. We're excited about the direction in which we're going, and we're thankful for the support that we have from administration, from you guys, from the staff. Everybody's really on board with the work, so.
Look
that
like you
helps.
enjoy your work. That's very obvious.
We do. We do. Any other questions?
I disagree. Thank you. This is complex, and I appreciate all your work to, sort it out and figure it out.
It's been a long year, I'm sure.
Well, to Danny's point in the beginning, like, it feels like it's been a lot longer. Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't feel like this.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
everything that we've done in the past year, I was like, that's a lot.
It's great to get an
Right, so
update,
it's
though.
exciting.
Yes.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for the
All right,
update.
thank you.
All right, so I think we discussed that one at length, so special education audit update we have had. No action items for this evening. Before we kind of close this out, one thing I think I've noticed, I think we've all noticed, is just a slew of people, many of whom are in this room, working their tails off in the summer. We're well aware that there's a lot that happens during the summer. All the prep work, it could be physical plant stuff, the painting, the paving, the touch-ups, the furniture, or it could be the planning and the leadership that is in this room of just the vision, whether that's professional development or what the courses, preparing for those, our lead teachers, all that, to just everything. Like, it just seems like a ton of work is happening this summer. We see it and we recognize it and we're grateful for it. And I know we don't have any classroom teachers here today, so maybe I'll stare in the camera if anyone so happens to be watching, which I don't know if they are or aren't, but
Droves, I'm
I
sure.
mean, yeah. We also recognize it's, summers are not really off. I think we have quite a few staff looking at the lessons, thinking about how they're going to do stuff differently, some new coursework, tons of professional development, reading up. We just know it's not sitting on a beach for a
Going
couple.
construction.
Yeah. I mean, there's just a whole host of things that take place over the summer that we hope our community member peers understand that happens. So I just wanted to share a little bit of gratefulness, gratitude on behalf of, we all see it and we all recognize it. So
It's fast.
yeah, we know it does go fast. So Friday's that August 1st mark, so we know this is like the last little bit in many people's minds of summer before the school year kicks in. So thank you for that. As we bring our meeting to a close, a reminder that at a governance level, we too are respectful, resilient, engaged, now and always. Go Blue Devils. All right, we need a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second there. I think we
What's
can
the
do.
second?
Natalia, oh, was it you?
Tasia.
First one.
Let's go.
Congrats.
Don't get competitive now.
Record show.
Yeah, exactly.
Couldn't resist. I've been waiting.
We'll get it highlighted in
I've
the
been
minutes
waiting.
for you. So. Bold-faced and highlighted, please. I think we can do a voice vote. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries.
Good
The
idea.
time is 7:20 p.m. Have a good night.
Wow, that was fast.
You.
Yeah.